Welcome to what I like to call the Infuriator. The Infuriator incorporates not only shotgun trap shoots, but also a vending machine stacking tactic, which is optimized and spread out for maximum raid protection against online and offline raids. It has relatively high mobility for its raid cost, and very high efficiency in terms of build cost to protection to get all of the loot. The loot is spread out evenly across the base. Let's get into the tour. If you go through the front door, you can see on their left there's a drop box room, which can easily hold 4 large boxes and more if you wish to do so. There's also a shotgun trap under the ceiling half step up to discourage door campers. If you pop yourself up here, going through the garage and armored doors, you find yourself in a room with 3 large boxes which could be utilized as extra drop boxes or just unimportant loot boxes. Now we enter the central hub of the base. This region connects the 3 loot room chutes together into a single central location. There are various amenities spread on the outer region of the hub. Each cubby is fitted with 3 large boxes and either a research table or a repair bench. In the inner region, there are 3 half-raised floors in each chute, which leaves space for 9 total furnaces in this area, also leaving space for 3 lockers and 1 large chest on the inner walkway. I would also recommend putting the primary workbench in this area as the center of the loot rooms in the most convenient spot for it. The reasoning between the colored signs is the ease of access for the base owners, and you can ahead of time determine that you're going to put a particular type of loot in a certain color, or merely to identify which sign is the tool cupboard. So we're going to check out the red loot room first. You see there's shotgun traps in each of this, and down here. It's very difficult to deal with. So the loot rooms are nothing fancy. You can squeeze more boxes into here, but I opted just to keep it plain and simple, with 2 boxes here, 2 vending machines here, and 2 boxes there. And then this is where it starts getting interesting. So I used this trick from Evil Worst's video, where he described the loot room using vending machines, where you can loot boxes through the side of it, but if they're code locked, then you have to blast through the entire vending machine. And you can also apply on a reinforced window and a horizontal embrasure onto this window and pick them back up whenever you please to add even more reinforcement. So here you see there's a large box. I can access it from here. It's on the inside of a shelf. I will show you the way that is done later. You can do it from both sides. There could be boxes on the bottom, but it's very difficult to access them, so I opted not to have the storage, just from ease of access. All of the loot rooms are identical, except there's a battery slot in one of them, and then the other one is TC on one side and a large box on the other. So this is TC, and then there should be a large box on a triangle foundation on the top in there. That's shown here. So now we will go up to the shooting floor, or the bedrooms. So you can fit about 5 beds up here. You could squeeze more in, but I opted just to put 5 for this, because this base ranges from a trio to a 5-man group. And then out here, it goes into the shooting floor. There's vertical embrasures all the way around. And then you have 2 peak downs on each third, so it's 6 peak downs around the base. And then I didn't do anything fancy for the roof for this iteration of the base, but it is free to expand in any way that you want. I just opted not to put any recommendations for the base here, but you can do it however you please. Cost for the deployables, which have the ability to impact and affect raid costs, includes 18 vertical embrasures, 3 horizontal embrasures, 4 reinforced glass windows, 7 sheet metal doors, 7 sheet metal double doors, 1 single armored door, 25 garage doors, 6 vending machines, 49 code locks, and 6 shotgun traps. This adds up to 145 high quality metal, 19,350 metal fragments, 3,000 wood, 85 gears, and 12 rope. This brings the total for the base up to 19,025 wood, 67,065 stone, 34,490 metal fragments, and 652 high quality metal. The upkeep is 6,993 metal fragments, 13,132 stone, and 139 high quality metal per day. The most efficient way to raid the base is 25 rockets to the main TC, but that's only if they know the exact location of the TC and they enter through the most efficient route possible. And it can add up to 57 rockets if they're taking the most efficient route if they guess the cubby which the TC is in incorrectly. So feel free to put the TC in any of the cubbies, and do not copy exactly as put in the video. So the TC could go either in this compartment, or this one. And you just need to switch it around and optimize it and randomize it so that the raider will not be able to exploit it and take the most efficient path. So now, let's get into the raiding. I'm gonna go the most efficient path that I know of. There could be a more efficient path that I have not found, but I have looked through and tried to find the most efficient path, and this is the best one I can find to TC. Also note that I'll keep a rocket counter up in the top left. In this raid I did miss one rocket, or I misplaced it, so that is why I pulled out the hammer and removed the garage door. Now, let's get into the base build. So we're going to start off with a triangle foundation in the middle, then follow that up with 3 squares on the outside, 2 out each way. And then you're going to completely surround the interior of these with triangles as such. Then after this, you're going to put a triangle on each one of these. And then fill in these. This triangle will act as the complete core. You want to upgrade this to armored as soon as possible. I recommend putting a half wall in here and making it sheet metal, but it doesn't make that much of a difference. You want to make sure this one's armored, and then seal this off completely. Then, these 3 squares are going to each act as one of our loot rooms. So I'm going to seal these each off with walls on each side. Foundation can be sheet metal, but the walls should be armored. Okay, so you want to upgrade this wall to armored eventually, but it is not completely necessary at the moment. So you just want to upgrade these foundations, which I'm upgrading to sheet metal. Okay, so now the other foundation you want to upgrade to sheet metal is the triangle, not that one, but the triangle out from the square, and the rest of these can be stone. Okay, so now that you have this, you can add your half wall in. Actually, you shouldn't need that half wall because of that triangle in the middle, so you should just be able to place them like this. You should act as your shelves for your boxes, but you set one of these to be a triangle like this. And then you also want to place these triangles around the corners like this. And then you want a wall in between each one. So I'd like to note now that you actually want to leave one of these roof tiles, this one right there, open, or another one in that same position, because that is where you'll be putting your large battery in the final iteration of the build. So the reason one of these stays as a triangle is because of the tool cupboard. And you would place the tool cupboard in like this, as far in as you can in the triangle, and then you want to code lock everything as shown in the example. I will not put code locks, but in the base build you actually should. At least on the ones inside these loot rooms, because the vending machines block off the looting of it. So you want to upgrade the ceiling to armored, and then you want to seal it off with a window. And this can be sheet metal for now, but you should upgrade to armored later, so I'm just going to upgrade to its final state, armored. And then you repeat the process here. Here. And then we move on to the side loot rooms on each one. So I actually made a mistake in this. You want to remove one of these triangles on the right side of one of the loot rooms, and this will act as your large battery room. Put the battery facing you, put a window in, and then fill in the roof over it and the window itself. And then you window this in when you can. And while the base is still under construction, I recommend putting windows in these. followed by horizontal embrasures. So now you want to grab your vending machines. You can line it up with the line in the middle. You can see that it's split into 4 sections on the sheet foundation. You want to line the vending machine up with the middle of that line. And then you can go to the side, click rotate, and then it's all set up, and then you just put the second one aligned with the first. It's pushed together as possible. It's a little bit finicky sometimes, but you should be able to get it. There. So now, after I remove these, the horizontal embrasure and the window, the chests or TC should be lootable. I'll now go do this to the 3 different loot rooms. Okay, and I will now seal the loot rooms off from the outside. You can now put high walls on each of these spots, because this is where the drop downs will begin into each loot room. You now want to put half walls on all of the given spots. And you want to extend this up as armored. And seal off that with an armored roof. You can go back to metal and seal the rest of these along with this. It's a roof I neglected in the last step, but you should fill these in before. And then you can feel free to put in these ones, and then now we have our drop down chutes. So now you need to decide which side you want to be your entrance, and then in this process I will choose that this one is the adequate block. So I'll make this down. Then you want to build out your entrance, but if you plan to put external TCs, then before you do this step you probably want to build out here, build 2 squares out, build a triangle, 2 squares back, and then place a triangle forward like this. And then this allows for the front room able to be put with the external TC, like so. And you probably want to upgrade these to stone for the meantime and get this external TC down as soon as possible so that this does not decay. So now we can work on the entrance of the building. You can just seal this off with walls. These act as honeycombing. And then you want to make this one or this one the entrance, but the opposite of whichever will be the drop box room. So I'm going to choose this side for this process and make this the drop box room. And then you want to get your shop fronts and then place them as such. And seal off the roof. Put this, and then get a half wall here. Make that twig, do not upgrade that, and then fill in them as such with half wall ceilings as well. Then you want to put that in there, and then this is up to preference, but I put a sheet metal door in here for quick access. You'll likely not be storing much high value loot into this room. front door on. In terms of raid cost, it doesn't matter if you put sheet or armored, so I opt to put sheet in this location. Then you can go up your chute, and then create the entrance seal. And then what you want to do is seal off this upper area so the base is in a functional form and only need to be expanding with honeycombing and a shooting floor. So once we get to that point, we have to do this, then seal these off as well. But you can't forget about these stone honeycombings down here. You want to bring this up as well as it participates in the shooting floor. This, I did not put the honeycombing in to be built up, but I will now do that. So now here, you can put your stone ceilings here, and your furnaces will go on top of those. And you want to create a seal for this wall, and this wall, and you can put your frames here, here, and here. To make this go up so that you're able to place your furnaces in said areas. You can then do build up for the areas as shown, and then you can create your step up. Garage door in here and all of these slots as shown. And then also you can put your garage doors into these slots as well. And you likely want to fill out these as well up here. It's a little bit finicky to get it in. There. Then we will go up here and complete the ceiling. Like so. And then this is the space for our bedroom, which will be upstairs. So now what we'll use these as are our entrances up. These form into the entrances for the shooting floor. For now, what you can do is you can seal off this roof. And then you will have a functional base that should be sealed from all directions. What you do need to do is build the honeycombing up as soon as possible. Much easier to do this from the roof, so I'm going to head up there and complete the seal from up there. Although it may not look pretty with the garage door sticking up like this should be sealed from all directions, and I will now do a fly around to show what the build looks like. So at this stage, now I'll give you a brief tour to show you what the state of the base will look like. And for the build, I will not be putting the deployables in, as you can put them in as you choose, and the first iteration was just me showing my recommendations. Then this you can make into a loot room. I'll not place the boxes, but you can do that as seen in the tour. But for the next expansion of the base, what you want to do is probably set up a shooting floor and some of the honeycomb. I will go out and I will do the honeycombing first, as well as setting up the preparation for the external TCs. You just want to seal this off with stone as such. And this one you can also seal off. Actually, I believe you want to make this one into sheet metal, and then you want to build the roof of this honeycombing does not need to be stone, but you can build up that as stone. So each section should look like this, except for the entrance. So you go this one, and then you can run over here and complete this section as so. Now the honeycombing is essentially complete, and now the external TC setup. I will just show you how to set it up nice and quick. You can delete these foundations as so, and then you have your setup. And then you want to go in the same section over here, place your triangle into two squares, into that triangle, and then build off the squares and the triangle. You can then build these out until the external TCs, which I will do after I finish the shooting floor. Okay, so for the shooting floor, what I'll do is place inward facing walls because of the roof design which I have. And then we will start to build out. For the design, you just put squares on every single section. And then you fill in the full triangles where you can. And that should be it. So then what you can do is you can place in your windows. Doors, you want to make sure these are on the right side facing that way, because that way the door opens and blocks you from falling down through the slot. So now go around placing all the doors. And make sure they open outwards into the gap. Seal off the roofs. So you might encounter some stability issues, but it should be fine if you do it in the right order. And you can seal it with the core of the base. Here, I will put in the embrasures, and then the shooting floor should be complete for now. I also recommend inputting the garage doors as such, and I will now place in all of the garage doors, which I recommend. So I will go down into each one of these chutes and place them as recommended. My preference is to make these sheet metal, the door frames, but stone should work just fine in terms of raid cost. It's just sheet metal is a little bit smaller and sleeker, but stone is much cheaper. So I'll now put in the shotgun traps. I recommend placing one there and right here. There is also the option to place one there, but sometimes it gets in the way of jumping up. So it is up to preference of mobility. But I personally think that 2 shotgun traps is enough for 1 shoot. And a lot of the time after blowing through one and seeing that there's no second one here, they will let their guard down for the 3rd one. So I think I need to actually replace this one because I placed it a little bit too far forward, so sometimes they get in the way of the jump. So you want to place it as far back into the corner as you can for these ones, and then they shouldn't get in the way. And you should be able to go straight down there and straight back up if you are capable of jumping up. And then in terms of more building blocks that you need to place, this and this are needed for the side loot rooms on each section. So now I have placed all the deployables, or doors, into the center of the base, and all I have left to do are the external TCs. The external TC design I opted for is not necessarily the most efficient for raid protection, but it does the trick. And feel free to use the same build out and create your own external TC to accompany the base. I use these as potential gatehouses as well as TC. So there's 2 options you can go for here. You can get rid of the wall frame there and make this for sure not going to be the external, or the exit to your compound once you have it down, but you also have the option of making it into the door if you put this. So I'm going to opt to put the option for this. It is not the most secure. It is 3 rockets a TC, or not 3 rockets, sorry, 4 rockets a TC. Place each TC down here, and then seal off the roof as shown. I realized I forgot to upgrade that sheet metal wall, so I would do that now. So now there are a few upgrades to be made. This should be upgraded to armored in its final form. That goes into one of the loot rooms, but with the setup from the front door, it is a little bit more exposed because of the entrance. So a way to fix that would be upgraded to armored. And then the walls in between there need to be upgraded to armored in order to save from it getting splashed. The wall above it does not need to be upgraded, as there is a ceiling above the next one next to it. As of so far, this is the complete iteration of the base, excluding deployables. There are a few improvements I made on the base since the filming of this video. I would be more than happy to release a second video if this video gets enough traction. Please like, subscribe, comment, and thank you so much for watching.